appreciate the opportunity to work with you, our membership, and with our community. Thank you for attending. This is a very well-attended Lunch and Learn, so thank you. The Chamber of Commerce just hired a new administrative assistant, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce her. Her name is Ashley Farmer. You may have met her when you walked in. Ashley. She's doing excellent. This is her third or fourth week, and she hasn't, threatened to quit or anything. So we're just really happy. Super job for us. Now I want to give a special thank you to Kyra Breaks, who at the very last minute we called and asked if she'd help us. We did have somebody else lined up to assist at the door. Kathy Engelking, who said she gives her regrets that she could not be here. She's back from repairing from a broken hip, but didn't dare come out on this icy weather. So Kyra helped us out. Kyra, thank you so much. The Lunch and Learn events are projects that are done through the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee, and we have many of those members here today. And I'd just like you to raise your hand if you're on the Chamber's Economic Development Committee. This is the group that organizes these luncheons, and so it's collaborative between all of the groups that care about economic development. It's also sponsored by the City of International Falls, so they help subsidize the marketing of this. So thank you all who are involved in that. There's a special guest among us today, Ida Rukavina. Ida, could you stand please? Ida is the aide for United States Senator Klobuchar's office. And if you recognize the last name Rukavina, yes, she is the daughter of the famous Iron Ranger Thomas, otherwise known as Tommy Rukavina, who's now a county commissioner. Used to be a long time state representative. So welcome, Ida. Ida said that she would be here after the lunch. If you'd like to stay after and have something to visit with her about that you'd like to bring to Senator Klobuchar's attention, feel free to stay after the lunch. I really think it'd be fitting to not have me do the intro of Mike and Bill today. The person I'd like for you to have the pleasure of doing that intro is Commissioner Wade Pavlik, because he, along with former Councilor Chopper McBride and a lot of other folks like Pete Schultz and others, really helped lead the cultural evolution between our Gateway community and Voyageurs National Park. And it was that bold leadership that really brought us to where we are today, I think. So I've asked Commissioner Pavlik if he wouldn't mind please coming forward and doing the intro of two of our good friends, Mike Ward and Bill Carlson. Commissioner?
Well, thank you, Sean. We certainly are veterans of many different facets of our relationship with the park over the years. For me, this is kind of like deja vu. It seems like yesterday Kate Miller was retiring, and the maintenance supervisor and superintendent of the facilities came on board, Ron Lufberry, on a temporary basis. At that time, we were extremely worried, what kind of new superintendent are we going to get when Raul's time is up? And as it turned out, we were very fortunate. I can just briefly tell you a little history here. Certainly Chopper McBride was a part of this, but when we had a very rough relationship at Voyageurs National Park when I started 24 years ago. And to make a long story short, on top of all the other problems we had, we actually ended up in court, and the county was being sued by the superintendent at the time. And although, I got along with her, I liked her, but after going through that, Kate Miller took over. And she said to her staff, who are my biggest problems? And they told her right now, Wade Pavlik and Chopper McBride. She said, I want to meet them. That was her first big meeting. We met out at Shea Shea, I'll never forget that. And she had a completely different attitude and view of the relationship between the park and the government entities. And that came through immediately. I can tell you that it was an instantaneous change in the relationship, at least between the county and the city and Voyageurs National Park. And it's been maintained to this day. And that tells me how important it is to have superintendents who are willing to work with the community and hear the issues and the complaints that so many of the landowners at the time had. They felt disenfranchised, like the park wasn't listening. When Kate came, and Mike, to his great credit, continued that, the park would listen, and they were able to work with people. And the complaints went away. And I got to tell you this about Mike Ward before I do the introductions. When he came, knowing the history we had had, and of course we'd done so good with Kate, but he went a step further. And Brian McBride was on the county board then. He came up with the idea, why don't we meet quarterly so that these issues, we can discuss them before they ever become a problem. And to that end, we formed that committee. Brian chaired it, and that was very successful too. So I can't say enough how things have evolved, all for the better, and I think the community sees that. And I'm not happy you're leaving, Mike Ward, let me tell you. All right. First, I guess, is Bill going to be first, Sean?
It's up to Mike and Bill.
Where's Bill? There he is. I'm looking around. Ida, before I forget too, Senator Klobuchar is the first one I've ever gotten a personal thank you back in the mail from our meeting at Rainier, so you can tell her that, how much I appreciate that. I've told everyone that was very nice. And your dad's a good guy too. I got to work with him. I don't know why who would leave the state legislature to be a commissioner. I mean, I think he's on target. All right. Well, let me start with you, Bill. Bill started in maintenance and is going to be the acting superintendent in the interim, and then I assume there's going to be a search for a kind of like Raul. Well, Bill Carlson, we've worked with a long time too. Many of you may have seen that the county just got the money for the wastewater project in Island View. I can't tell you how difficult that was. Senator Klobuchar was a big part of that, but the park was too. Without the national park, without the comments and participation, would never happen. Park Service is very tight on these types of projects. They cannot come out and directly support. They can't raise money, but still, Mike had a person at our meetings every day for the past 8 years, and Bill has taken over that role and has done a great job. And so when I got the phone call, I was in Phoenix, that we got that money. I mean, my first thought was, what took us over that hill was Park Service. Thank you. Okay. Well, let me just say a couple words about Mike, and then I'll bring you up, Bill, and we'll let you speak first, and then we'll take Mike last so we can really give him a hard time here. This is a roast, I hope. Mike came here in 2008. I said, there's nobody can replace Kate Miller. Well, he's done just as good a job. They both, I can't tell you, they're both wonderful, wonderful people. Kate's fade, I hope Mike does. I think he's taking a little detour here, but we're hoping he comes back. He's gonna be the superintendent of the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial, which he was just explaining to me. It sounds like a beautiful site. They've got some great big projects going on there. It's also known as the Arch, and it's in St. Louis. Carol and I drive out to Phoenix every year to see our daughter, and we take different routes. I was telling Mike, until we did that first drive, even I couldn't appreciate how beautiful this country is. And the national parks play a big role in that. So that was an eye-opening experience for me. Every trip we take a different route and see some of those things. But with that, I'm going to let Mike, he can tell you about himself, but Bill, why don't you come on in? Give him a big hand. And I know he'll do as good a job as Raul up there he did.
Thanks, Wade. I've been here, started the Park Service here in 1998 as a subject deferral electrician. And then got promoted to work leader, was a full-time position, and then district supervisor in the Brady district, and then facility manager here about 4 years ago. So I hope in the interim, when I'm filling in for Mike before we get our permanent superintendent, that I can continue the same relationship that Mike and Kate have going. That's big shoes to follow, but I'll try. I don't know what else I can say. Anybody have any questions on? All I know is we'll try to keep the communications lines open, like Wade said, between the park and the county and the city and organizations and the community. If you have any questions, please call.
Bill, just approximately how many full-time employees does the Park Service have right now, Boynton National Park? Just a guesstimate.
Right around 40.
And then how many do you hire then for the summer? What's your workload coming in?
We're going to probably be pushing 100, I suppose.
Wow.
Seasonal's coming in, I think, for the summer.
Are there any big projects that the Park Service is going to be doing this summer that are on the maintenance list?
We do, we've got a few, we've got some campsite rehabilitation stuff, some trail work, and historic structures. One of them is Garrett's cabin right up on Rainy Lake. That's gonna be a complete rehab on that cabin. It's a historic property. And down on Sandpoint Lake, we've got another, it's a log cabin. It's gonna be kind of a dismantling, a rebuild there as well. Yeah, there's quite a few projects going.
You have some planning going on now for your centennial celebration?
Yes.
Yeah, that's this summer, right?
It's coming this summer. It's going on right now. They got things happening.
Okay.
They had an IMAX viewing in the Twin Cities here
Okay.
a couple weeks ago. They've got an event at the Surly Brewery coming up in April.
Yeah.
April for that.
And those are located obviously off-site in the Twin Cities
Yes.
area. And
Stuff here. We're going to have a grand opening for the bike trail,
Yeah.
rec trail here. It's going to be June 11th, I believe, and they're going to try to have a run. Yeah.
Bill, on behalf of the Polar Porter Ski Club, I'd like to thank the park for reopening the Ridge Trail, the Blackway Ski Trail.
Oh.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We've been wanting to get that opened up again, and thanks to some of the staff here, Pete was kind of a push on that, and yeah, we got it opened up again last year. I did a bunch of work rebrushing the trail, get it open. As far as the Centennial, there's more stuff going on, and I don't know everything that's happening. Doug Lothian is kind of running that program right now, so yeah, we'll get to him.
Yes, how many full-time employees here of Voyageurs National Park, here not the national park, work from home with a computer that live outside of the Voyageurs National Park area?
We have, I think, one right now.
One does now. Okay.
One does now. We have a few that work days here and there, but
Days
one.
and, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
the combination. So
Mhm.
substantially all the full-time employees live right within the immediate environs of the park.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Carlson, Mike Ward, for the last number of years, has thrown a St. Patrick's Day party. Are you going to throw a... and are you going to invite me?
If I could do something on that order, I certainly would.
Well, I'll put it on my calendar.
So, just so everybody knows, Bill is on 120-day detail, is what the Park Service calls it. And that'll be over
End of April.
the end of April. What's occurring now is that they'll ask the park staff one more time who would like to do the next 120 days, and everybody is basically going to vote on Bill, I think. But they give other folks who are interested in actually the developmental part of that, and I think everybody else is scared to death, and Bill's the only one that actually has,
Dumb enough to try.
But they have promised me that at least one of them will actually fill out the paperwork to do this. We don't want to bring in somebody else from elsewhere in the National Park Service for two reasons. One is, this is already working very well and will continue to work well. And the other four chiefs that Bill worked with, any of them would be perfectly fine at this. Bill has the history a lot better than most of the folks. Mary Graves also has incredible history at the park. But all five of them work together. I mean, that's just how it goes. And a lot of what I've been able to do in my career in terms of development, I've been able to do because I could walk away from the park for 30 days or longer, and these guys, they're going to do what they do every year, which is serve the public very well. So my sense is that Bill will do it for another 120 days. If not, he'll probably receive death threats at some time. Hopefully that'll just keep going the way it's going, and then within the next month they'll actually be putting out a request for the new superintendent position. And there's something new going on in the Park Service. Well, I'll finish with Bill so he can relax and sit down, and I'll just tell you I just quick raise of hands, how many people know Billy Johnson that works at the park? Okay, most of the people in this room know Billy Johnson, so you would understand how it would be to be Bill Johnson's boss for your entire career, right? That's what Bill has done. So. And I would say that in front of Billy Johnson too, so it's okay to tell on me. I'm okay with that.
You know Bill Johnson, I've been fortunate enough to have him help me along the way and work with him the whole time. He's very good.
He is.
We lost without him.
And having said that, one of the people on staff that I have always gone to since I took this job is Billy Johnson. There's nobody that knows more people in this community and understands what's important. And so I've always run things by him, and it's great to have people like that on the staff that have been around forever. So, but I always have to give him a hard time, like I just did, even though he's not here. So, he does the same thing to me. So, it's just kind of our relationship. So, this has been extremely difficult for my family and I. If anybody understands how long it takes, I mean, right now we're gonna start the process of finding a new superintendent for Voyageurs National Park, and you most likely will not see that superintendent until September or October at the earliest.
Mhm.
So I started at Jefferson National Expansion Memorial April 17th as my first real day.
Mhm.
So just so you know, if you work that process of the new superintendent at Voyageurs backwards, that's how long my family and I have actually been considering this. It's been a really difficult discussion, and I think a lot of the folks in the room that know me know that our decision has been made on the fact that I lost my mother a couple of years ago, and Betsy's father is now suffering from advanced stages of Alzheimer's. And when we got here, Connor was going into 6th grade, and he's a freshman at the University of Minnesota now. They've missed a lot of family time, and we don't want them to miss any more of that group of family that's still around and have those experiences with their cousins that they can still have. And so that was what made us decide that it was the right thing to do to go back to family and close to our hometown. So the difficult part of it was obviously leaving this place and leaving all of you wonderful people. We have been nothing but welcome since the day that we got here. We have gotten support that I would have never counted on, and I'm just amazed at how many people have supported us and everything that we've done. So it's been fabulous. We never expected to stay very long. Voyageurs was kind of a career move for me, and we only expected to stay a few years. And we were all surprised at how much we fell in love with the place. So, and that's not going to change by us moving to St. Louis. I told a lot of folks already that Betsy and Libby are involved in Ogeechee Aquatic, the girls' camp attached to Cooch. And Betsy teaches there, and Libby goes there. Libby's planning on returning every summer for the next 4 years to continue to do that, and Betsy's going to teach during those 4 years. So that gives me plenty of time to come up to camp and fish and have a good time. I have an annual trip that I take with the Barkowski family over to Canada. That's lovely, and I've already been told that I should not expect not to be in attendance of that on a yearly basis. So there's wonderful reasons for us to come back, and I said it in kind of a snide manner earlier, but when you're the only two in the family that live away, which Betsy and I are, you end up using your vacation time to go back home and see family. And the joke that we keep saying is that now that we see family all the time, we can tell them, okay, we're done with you. We're going back home. You'll have some fun in northeast Minnesota. So we will be back. It'll be exciting. The park that I'm going to work at is an incredible icon. If anybody knows all about the St. Louis Arch built for the memorialization of Thomas Jefferson and westward expansion, Eero Saarinen designing that incredible landmark, and then the fact that it was actually, there's a lot of people that bet it can never even be built once he designed it. It not only has been built, obviously, celebrating its 50th year, And then the next engineering marvel that's attached to it is the tram system, the elevator system that takes you up to the top so you can look out, and that actually turns 50 years in 2016. So it's just an incredible landmark. There's a $280 million project going on right now to enhance the entire experience at the Arch. Highway 70 flows in between the downtown and the Arch grounds. They've capped that with a beautiful landscape park, and we're working on another 40,000 square feet in the visitor center, new exhibits, and a great deal of landscaping that changes how people that visit St. Louis can actually connect from the city to the Arch to the river in a more seamless manner. So it's an incredible project. I'm proud to be part of it. It is the new way in which the Park Service is the largest and most difficult project that's going on in the Park Service right now. That $280 million, there was a tax referendum passed to not only help with the construction of the $280 million, but a $29 million endowment to run it for the operation and maintenance costs following, and up to $12 to $20 million a year for those operation and maintenance costs through the tax referendum. So one single donor of $110 million for this project. So you can imagine the complexity of it and the fact that everybody in the St. Louis area and the region that gave towards it. And I think the total amount of giving was out of that 280 was about 220 million. So they love their icon, and they're willing to actually put that money forward to ensure that the city not only engages with the park there, but the city gets the economic benefit of that park being there after the tough times that St. Louis has suffered through over the last 5 years. So anyway, great project. I obviously would not be ready for a project like that if I had not met all of you, in the sense that some of the things that Wade talked about, some of the discussions that have been had, some of the relationships that have been built. I can't be prouder of the relationships that not only the park has built with the community, but Voyageurs National Park Association, who used to be involved with a lot of those lawsuits that in the early years of the park, is also becoming friends with the communities that are around the park in a lot of different ways. And that's really saying something. That the Centennial is actually being brought to you by the National Park, the Voyageurs National Park Association through Christina Hausman, who is doing most of the engineering of those events, and will continue to help Doug Losingham in the local area celebrate the fact that the National Park Service is 100 years old, and that Voyageurs is one of those special places tied to that 100-year anniversary. So they have committed a great deal of time. They've committed a great deal of energy. You see Doug Franchot, who retired from the Twin Cities and actually moved up here. I think there was probably a lady friend involved in that decision, but even though that may have been the real reason why he decided to reside in International Falls, the benefit of having another board member and a long-term member of our partnership organization in our community helps the discussions that go on every day. I think some of the things that I really am proud of is our relationship with the snowmobile community in this area. You have somebody who loves snowmobiling that is now a board member of Voyageurs National Park Association. We had a MinUSA rally here last year in which I gave a speech at it in support of snowmobiling, and Voyageurs National Park Association staff members worked the desk. How many people in this room would have thought that would happen 20 years ago? It's just amazing some of the discussions that are going on, and to bring that to a point where it's totally different than what it was when the park was originally getting established. So, I think the other, Bill and his staff were instrumental in this. One of my first years here, we got a phone call after a press release went out that said, the trails are ready the snowmobile trails are ready within Voyageurs National Park, but it's Christmas break, so nobody, staff isn't going to take the trails. And we all were like, whoa, wait a minute. And the amount of phone calls that came in, and the staff now reacts to the first day that the trails can actually be open. And that was a hard discussion with some of the folks on the staff, but it was about customer service. It was about how much money goes into the resorts and how much they depend on that if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing during that window of opportunity. So, Bill's staff, back then Raul was involved in that. The discussions immediately became how do we better serve the customer? And we've been talking about that ever since then in everything that we do. I think obviously the headquarters building is the thing that I'm most proud of. I walked into that situation that had been a dream. There was a whole lot of dreaming still going on, but nothing on paper at that point. The city was ready to dig, and the Park Service was sitting there without a lease. And I can remember when it all fell apart at one moment, when I got called down to the city council chambers, and I was told that the only thing that was holding that up at that point was the National Park Service, which was like a nightmare for me. But somebody in Washington decided that they no longer wanted to do this. And I was hearing from the folks at the city council chambers. It was devastating. And called my boss, basically said, what the hell's going on? And explained what was happening, and he said, well, I told you it was going to be hard. So I heard somebody say, wow, and that's exactly what I thought for about a minute, and then I realized, no, he did, and I have to fix this. And so I spent the next 2 months trying to convince them why this actually is important to Voyageurs National Park, and why it was important to the community here to get the economic benefit of that lease. So it was a great project. I'm glad that it's still working the way it's working. I can tell you that my staff's morale has been incredible since the date that we moved in there. You always have a couple people that you give them a new office, new furniture, new everything, that still like to complain, but that's the case everywhere. You can't please everyone. So, but it was a great project. It's great to be out on the riverfront. One of the things that when I drove back in town this last week to come visit, and I headed to Rainier to have a beer with my wife at Looney's, because I heard it was open again. And we drove past the headquarters, and I realized how much I was actually going to miss driving into that parking lot on a daily basis. And frankly, it made me realize how much I had already missed it over the last several months. So, I'm sure there's more that I could talk about, but I'd open it up for questions. I can't believe I actually talked that long. I'm much better at answering questions than I am about addressing folks. So, can't tell you how much we are all going to miss all of you. We're looking forward to a celebration in May of the time that my family was here. There's several folks working on that, and I look forward to coming back in May and hopefully in a warmer situation where we can sit together and have some drinks and celebrate what has happened over the last 7 weeks. So, questions? Dan?
Yes, could you explain to me what the function of Voyageurs National Park Association is and its definitive relationship to Voyageurs National Park?
Sure. As everybody's aware, originally Voyageurs National Park Association was an advocating body for Voyageurs National Park to even create a national park.
Mm-hmm.
They're 10 years older than the park, so they were 50 last year when we turned 40. They still advocate for the park zone on specific issues, but they have become more of a friends group, and I'll let Doug talk with Doug or Eric can talk over me when I'm done, but they've become more of a friends group in terms of helping us with education, scientific research, and the support of the mission of the park also, which is obviously to preserve the landscape as it is and the experience as it is, but also to offer a wonderful experience to folks who are recreating in the park.
Is it a nonprofit here that's owned by Voyageurs National Park or the National Park Service?
Not owned by us at all, no.
Okay.
So they raise their funds separately through their nonprofit status.
It's a 501k?
501c3, yeah, I believe.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I got in a little bit late, but you're gonna move on to, and keep working in St. Louis, I understand, and, you're not retiring?
I'm not retiring.
Well, you did a wonderful job there.